Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at setting a dynamic tag. So here I have an object which is called my object, and what we're going to be doing is setting a dynamic tag here for display. So once again, if I go into my Visual Basic editor, I already have some VBA script written. You'll notice that in this video I have now set up a standard private function for returning the objects that I'm looking for in my document. So if I go ahead and step through this, the first thing I do is set my object reference. I come into this function and my document is currently set to nothing because I have a optional parameter that I haven't passed here. So I set that to this document, and then I look for my object name, which I passed as my object. And on my image here, my PDL file, my rectangle is called my object. So that should find that no problems, and it returns that without error. And now what I'm doing is I'm looking at the property visible. So remember that if you come to your objects that you want to set a property on, and you right click on the attribute that you want to change, you can have a look at what the attribute can be named as, or what it's called for VBA, and this one is called visible. So this should return a reference for the property, which we can see in our locals window here has now returned this correctly. And now what we want to do is create a new dynamic trigger for a tag. So this is done by addressing the property and then using the method create dynamic, and then you get a list of different things that you can choose. In this case, we want to choose the variable direct because we're directly relating this to a tag, and then you need to give the name of your tag explicitly as it exists. Once we do that, if I go to the object, we can see that display currently has no dynamic property. If I step through this now and then go back and reselect it, we find that it now has my PLC tag, and it has the default update cycle. So I want to update that to 250 milliseconds, which I can do by then addressing our dynamic HMI variable trigger and choosing cycle type, and then I get a drop down again of all the different cycle types that are available, and I choose 250 milliseconds. So if I step through this now and go back, select this again, we'll find that it's now 250 milliseconds. And that's pretty much it in terms of setting or creating a tag trigger. It can be a little bit more complicated for things like faceplates, where you don't know what the name of the variable is, of the attribute is that you want to set the variable on. But we will cover in a later video how to address this by display rather than visible, and that works for faceplates with no issues whatsoever.